Hello everyone, my name is Nikhita Joshi, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Waterloo. This work was done in collaboration with Justin Matejka, Fraser Anderson, Tovi Grossman, and George Fitzmaurice at Autodesk Research. We explore the idea of time-bounded, one-on-one help and create MicroMentor to facilitate this type of interaction. Feature-rich software like Photoshop and Fusion 360 can be quite challenging to learn. And over-the-shoulder learning, which is informal learning between colleagues in a workplace, is one of the most popular and preferred help-seeking strategies. However, it may not always be available, for example, if you're working remotely. And even when it is available, people are often reluctant to ask for help, either due to embarrassment or a fear of disturbing others. We've become accustomed to consuming small tidbits of information, like tweets. In fact, it's been shown that the restrictive nature of services like Twitter can actually encourage more use. There's less of a barrier to creating content, and it incentivizes getting to the point. According to the Ellsberg paradox, we prefer to bet on specific known odds, even if they're quite low, over ambiguous probabilities. So we tend to avoid uncertainty, and we can notice some trends with this when it involves time. For example, a to-do list that has an estimated duration can help reduce procrastination. And a written article that includes an estimated read time can help increase engagement. So we like restrictions, and we like to avoid uncertainty. Could a time limit encourage more help seeking? We feel that if an asker and a helper both know exactly how much time they're going to commit to providing or receiving help, that people will be more encouraged to ask for it and provide their assistance because there's not much of a barrier there and they know exactly what they're getting into. And to date, nothing has really explored this idea. Previous systems like Lemonade and Codon focus on providing additional context. And systems like Answer Garden focus on ensuring that experts are answering new questions rather than repeated duplicates. CodeMentor tries to mimic over-the-shoulder learning by connecting users via video chat for help sessions where they can collaborate with one another over a shared code editor. But these sessions are paid, they're not bounded by any time limit, and it's only focused on coding. So we contribute the idea of time-bounded one-on-one help sessions and find that 3 minutes is enough time for novices to receive help from an expert user. We create MicroMentor to facilitate this type of interaction, and we found that participants were overall satisfied with these short help sessions. To better understand time-bounded help, as well as some of the limits and opportunities, we conducted a formative study with 6 Fusion 360 users. 3 of them were experts, and 3 of them were novices. The novices were given an open-ended design task in Fusion 360, and they could not use any online resources, so no blogs, no videos, nothing. So their only way to get help was by asking for an expert. And when they asked for help, we assigned them a random expert as well as a random time limit, and the helper could only help them out for that duration. We tested 3 time limits in total, 1 minute, 3 minutes, as well as a no time limit condition, which was our control. Overall, participants asked 37 questions, and many of them were successfully answered in 3 minutes or less. Participants indicated their level of stress after every session, and with 1 minute, they only reported being not at all stressed 19% of the time. With 3 minutes and no time limit, this number was much larger. Participants indicated whether they thought that the question was successfully answered or not. With no time limit, questions were considered to have been answered 92% of the time. With 3 minutes, though, this was 83% of the time. And with 1 minute, questions were only considered to have been answered 39% of the time. So these results seem to suggest that 3 minutes is kind of a sweet spot here, and this was confirmed by our discussion with the participants. They felt that 3 minutes was enough time to explain a problem, clarify, and received a focused response with very little stress. In fact, a lot of the askers actually felt that having no time limit was quite unnecessary, and some of them even felt guilty for using up more of the helper's time. Some of the helpers noted that when they only had 1 minute, they were kind of encouraged to give more quick and dirty solutions that may not actually be best practice. So with 3 minutes, there is much more time to provide a detailed response. Askers noted that there was much more pressure to ask short and focused questions, but helpers preferred this over long-winded questions. Helpers noted that in their day-to-day life, they often get asked the same questions over and over again, and some of the askers actually noted that the choice of helper may in fact be more important than the time limit. So it's unclear how a quick help system could address these two issues. Using our results, as well as findings from previous work, we put together a set of design guidelines for future developers and designers. So first and foremost, this is maybe a bit obvious, but fixed time is important. We think that all help sessions should end after 3 minutes to encourage more participation, and we also think that we should encourage short questions by also introducing a time limit. We think this idea of quick help should extend beyond the actual help session, and that all major steps should be automated to help lower these transaction costs and, again, encourage a very seamless interaction with the system. To mitigate the risks of helpers answering the same questions multiple times, old help sessions should be saved for other people to view. And finally, previous work shows the importance of using context, and we feel that this is especially true when it involves time-bounded help. So we think that context should be automatically captured and shared for helpers to use. All of this put together led us to create MicroMentor, which I'll describe now. There's a small pink button placed at the bottom right corner of the user screen, and clicking on it will start a screen and audio recording. This will allow the user to explain their problem in plain English and show the problem itself. This recording can only last for 16 seconds. This information is automatically attached to the help session or to the help request and transcribed to save time with typing. To mitigate risk of helpers being paired to questions that they're really not able to answer, MicroMentor will create a ranking of potential helpers for every incoming help request. To save some time, I'm not going to go into too much detail right now, but in short, MicroMentor will use a variety of factors when summed up to create a match score out of 100. These factors are command history, expertise, time since the last help session so that it's not the same people answering the questions over and over again, previous interactions with the helper to help try to foster a more long-term relationship, the average rating they've received, additional skills, and how relevant these additional skills are to the topic at hand. So, like I said before, these are added up together to create a match score out of 100, and MicroMentor will use this match score to create an ordinal ranking of helpers. It'll then issue notifications to helpers using this order so that people who have the highest match score, in other words, the people who are most qualified and are most able to respond, are encouraged to accept the request before everyone else. There are two main ways to accept a request. First, a notification will appear in the top right corner of the user screen. Here, they can view the topic, the application, match score, and any supplementary materials like a recording. Clicking Accept will start the help request, and clicking Remind will snooze the notification for 10 seconds, and the notification will reappear if it is still opened and no one else has claimed it. The user can also browse through all open requests under the Answer tab and search for requests that meet their skill set. Clicking on a specific request will start the help session. After a request has been accepted, the asker is given a 5-second warning before they're automatically added to a video conference call with the helper. Together, they can collaborate with one another using a share screen view. So screen sharing, video, and audio are all automatically initiated to help create a more seamless transition. A toolbar placed at the bottom shows the topic of the request, as well as some additional features like annotation and remote control capabilities. A timer shows how much time is left for the help session. After 3 minutes, the call will automatically end, MicroMentor asks users to provide a rating out of 5 stars based on their satisfaction with the helper's response. If they were unsatisfied, so they gave a rating of 3 stars or lower, MicroMentor will ask them if they would like to reopen the request, and if the user says yes, the request is opened automatically, except the previous helper will not be notified of this request because they did a poor job earlier. All of these sessions are automatically recorded and transcribed to build a set of archives that can help a broader audience. Under the Answer tab, users can browse through these archives and search for specific archives using all contextual information like the topic, application, commands, as well as the transcript itself. Clicking on a specific archive will open a detailed archive view, and here they can rewatch the video and they can view the transcript. Clicking on specific lines of the transcript will jump the video to that point in time to make finding information a bit easier. The user can send videos to themselves or their colleagues, or they can email the helper or the asker to get more information kind of beyond MicroMentor and to foster a more long-term relationship. We evaluate MicroMentor using a similar approach as before. However, we had 4 helpers, which were Fusion 360 experts, and 8 askers, which were novices. We tested 2 conditions in this study. The first was using online resources, and the next was using MicroMentor. Like before, the askers were given an open-ended design task in Fusion 360. With the online resources condition, all help was independent, so they did not have access to a helper, and they could use basically whatever resource was available online, like a blog post, video, whatever they preferred. With MicroMentor, all help was targeted towards the helpers, and the helpers could only respond to these requests through MicroMentor. Overall, there were 40 help requests with MicroMentor, and here's what the average request looked like. After the asker posted a question, it usually took 30 seconds before a helper accepted it. 5 seconds later, they both joined the video call, and then the average video call lasted a little over 2 minutes. So the total, timeline of how people would use MicroMentor was a little under 3 minutes long. When looking at the star ratings that the askers and helpers provided, we can see that most people gave high star ratings, so ratings of 4 or 5, for over 2/3 of all requests. So from all of this, it seems like MicroMentor was easy to use, useful, and a lot of the participants preferred using MicroMentor over traditional help resources. So it seems like quick help systems like MicroMentor could become valuable help-seeking tools. There are many other avenues for future work, and we discuss a few right now. First, it's unclear how quick help sessions could turn into a more long-term relationship. So how can we help do that? There are also many other approaches for matching helpers to questions, as well as routing questions in general. For example, there's different ways of triaging questions and things like that that we have yet to explore. It's also unclear how to support different types of helpers. In our case, we assumed that all of the experts would be helpers, but novices can also help, but it's possible that they just require a little more help, and there's maybe some tools that we could provide to help bridge that gap. One major challenge is extending this system to a greater user base and encouraging more participation. Right now, MicroMentor will give a point to users every time they accept a request, but additional incentives would be beneficial here, and additional gamifications may be beneficial too. One possible example is that users can spend their points for premium help requests, which would guarantee them an expert as well as a little more time, so maybe 5 minutes instead of 3 minutes. It's also unclear how this data could be used to inform interface design. So for example, if MicroMentor notices that there are a lot of questions that have the same tools involved, it could aggregate this information and send it off to developers who can then improve it and release out a patch for a future software update or something like that. So in short, we create and evaluate MicroMentor, an on-demand system that connects users via video chat for short 3-minute help sessions. Thank you so much for listening.